All right, we'll wait a couple seconds for it to go up for me to see the ding. Yeah, so we're live. All right. So welcome episode 2, Check the Gate. We're going to go over some articles, but right off the bat, I want to say rip, rest in peace, Michael Madsen, dude. One of my favorite actors for a long time. And believe it or not, he was actually in, he goes all the way back to Free Willy. And even before that, he did a lot of television in the 80s. But man, this was like a shock. I was at Starbucks getting my coffee, and then I'm looking at like Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. And I see that he passed away. I'm like, oh, snap, 67. I almost said 57. But 67, that's like really young. And, he had like 6 children with, separate partners. But that's besides the case. But like I saw some recent pictures of him recently because he was on a Hollywood. I don't think he got a star, but he was at Mann's Chinese Theater getting his handprints immortalized on the sidewalk there. And, man, he wasn't looking too good. So I don't know exactly the cause of death. They said that he passed away from heart failure. But man, that what a loss. And you guys know him from one of his most famous roles was not Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, right? And then he was also in Kill Bill. So he had a working relationship, and also in Hard Eight, he had a working relationship with Quentin Tarantino. But yeah, that's a pretty bad loss today, and hats off to his career. And I even showed that this guy was so busy. Watch this, Michael Madsen. He had IMDb, Internet Movie Database. He had like so many projects in the works that were already in post production and or completed, with only 2. Right here, when you go to upcoming, with only 2 in pre-production. So those projects are going to have to get canceled. But look at this, man. This guy was working like crazy right here. Already, look at that. Post-production, completed, post-production. And with only, like I said, 2 pre-production right here, Old Fellas. And let me see this. And there's another one here I wanted to see. Whatever. Let's just look at Old Fellas, right? And look at the cast. Joey Pants. You had John Savage. This guy's in a bunch of stuff. Sherry O'Terry from SNL, right? It's probably, if she's in it, then it's probably like some sort of comedy, right? Some gangster comedy. An old mobster is shoved into retirement resort. This, that, and the third. So he was in there. And but it's sad that he's gone. But rest in peace for Michael Madsen. All right, and we're back. I want to do a little moment of silence for him. So we're back. So let's start covering some games. And the world is still going to shit. Markets are up. Markets are down. Microsoft laying off like up to. On, was it yesterday? It was 9,000. But what people are forgetting, that year to date, remember, their fiscal year ended in October of 2024. And so their new fiscal year, right, according to their books, that's when it starts. But since late October and till now, they laid off like 18,000 employees. So we're just getting the news of another round of like 9,000 employees. And what people aren't realizing is that, bro, Microsoft, when it comes to all these people getting laid off, like the majority of these employees are like gaming. And if you keep reading close at the fine print of these layoffs, this is why, Perfect Dark and Everwild and a bunch of smaller Xbox games just like got the chopping block. And remember, the level designer for this game, remember like a couple years ago, he was like crying about how gamers, the worst thing that happened to gaming was gamers, and that most of them are misogynistic, racist pigs, and this, that, and the third. Meanwhile, it's always like the liberal white guy talking like this, right? And I mean, that's what you get, bro. There is no value in your company. There is no value in your project, even though the trailer kind of looked kind of dope, right? But it's over. I mean, it's GG for this game and for many other studios and employees. Do I feel bad? No, because like that's the way corporations run. Like, I'm not going to also feel bad for developers and people who work in the industry who are constantly berating us and telling us that we're a mistake, that we're like a, a genetic offspring that needs to be wiped off the face of the fucking planet, this, that, and the third. I just don't feel bad for those people. It's like, you saw it with Mind's Eye. Granted, I picked that game up because I was trolling the game, but it was a $60 hit. I mean, it really didn't cost me anything. But it's just like when your product is shit, people are going to see this and respond adequately and start voting with their wallets. See? And so that's what's happening. Microsoft isn't seeing too much value in projects that are even like halfway during production. They're willing to cut the cord immediately to stop the company from bleeding. But what really bothers me about the layoffs is another aspect of the layoffs that people aren't talking about, and I'll get to that in a minute. But you guys have seen this, right? And people aren't too happy about it. Obviously, the ones that are getting fired, right? They're not too happy about it. They did it over a video conference call. It reminds me of I forget the name of that is a television show. No, yeah, that's right. It was Succession. It was Succession. When Tom asked, "What's his face?" I don't know if you guys saw that. Oh fuck! I forget the tall doofus dude. He told them to go into that room because it was set up for video conference, and they had a bunch of like, it was a wall filled with like LED screens, and it was like over 100 employees. And it was just a corporate speech, one page, one paragraph. Was it Jeff? Oh, fuck, I forget his name. He goes in there and he goes, "Hey, guys, thank you for being here. I just want to let you know that if you're in this conference call as of today," and then you see all the reactions of the people who are getting fired. They're like, most of them are like turning off the screen, ending the phone call. But that's how it happened, dude. They got fucking fired, shit canned over video conference call, and half of them didn't even know it was coming, right? I mean, we already knew that Microsoft was going through a major purge in employees, right? But I mean, that's the shit that we're talking about here. But here's what people are not talking about, and this is from Newsweek, dudes. So if you start running parallels and start running, connecting two and two, connecting all the dots, you're starting to see like a bigger problem here. They're letting go of American-based employees, but they're turning around and applying for up to 5,000 H-1B visas to be shipped in from other parts of the world to come work at Microsoft, right? Look, Microsoft H-1B visa applications questioned amid mass layoffs. And this is today, boys. All right, right here. Microsoft is undergoing pressure to account for its H-1B visa requests after announced another round of layoffs this week, affecting nearly 9,000 employees across the global headcount, right? The latest round of layoffs, hitting roughly 4% of the tech giant's workforce, comes after two waves in May and June, affecting another 8,000 in total. The company has laid off nearly 16,000 people in total this year out of 220,000, right? And then I'm starting to see like a bunch of videos. You have this whole section of I guess truth YouTube or red pilled YouTube, right? Whatever you want to call it, that they're always talking about like the woke shit and all these like quote liberals and shit and gaming. Yes, gaming is completely infected with leftist ideology. And then like you notice how all these companies just the day of June ended, with all this Pride Month bullshit, that they immediately like turn their backs on the whole thing. They're like, they can't wait for June to be over. And so what most people don't realize, like I said, is that last year in October, at the end of their fiscal year, start of their new one, Microsoft, remember when they announced that they were laying off they were actually deleting all of their DEI board, meaning like everybody that they hired to be part of, the diversity, inclusion, whatever the hell it's called. But they fired everybody because they deemed it non-mission critical, that it's not important to their overall outlook of the company. And then, but we're starting to see these projects roll in. But what you're forgetting is that these are the projects that were already in production, that were already in development. And now, it's like, listen, once these fucking projects hit the road, that's it. Even though your office, your branch is fucking shit canned right out as of now, we don't see and we don't deem this whole DEI crap, mission critical to the overall operations of Microsoft. So, when you see those videos from those channels, I'm not going to call them grifters. They're just making content, bro. They're playing the YouTube game, with the quirky ass thumbnails and shit, and all these woke liberal tears, like and they put they Photoshop in the tears and shit. It makes for funny, content, but those at towards the end of this year, probably as we get closer to October, which will be the end of Microsoft's 2025 fiscal year, you're going to see a lot less and less of these, agenda-driven games are going to be released in the wild. So, you might wonder, oh, how come they keep Microsoft? They don't know what they're doing. They keep releasing these games. No, bro, these games are already in the pipeline coming in. And that's how it is. But this is something that we also should be talking about, because they're firing 8,000 employees as of yesterday, but they're filing for another 5,000 H-1B visa applications. So I mean, so which is it? And I know what it is, and you can't talk about it because if you do, you're racist, right? And but the fact of the matter remains is that they're hiring cheap labor. And that's what these corporations do. So when you also see this whole conversation of the console wars and Sony this and Sony cares about their customers and Xbox cares about brother, they don't give a shit about you, bro. Just like they don't give a shit about Pride Month. As soon as June is over, they're back to regular scheduled programming, and that's what it is. So it's like you don't need to hold any brand loyalty or corporation loyalty to any of these people. All right. And remember, like I said, what's his face? His name was Kobe Payne. Remember that? He goes on this white knight shining armor crusade against for people. It's always the white liberal who feels as though he needs to speak for Blacks or Latinos or any other group except themselves, and they're always self-loathing, self-hating. I mean, that's who these people are, right? And they're just infected. They've infected the gaming industry. They've ever since the first Gamergate, which was 2013, 2014, and it's become so obvious now that these people are actually funded. And remember, ESG dollars from, I'll just call it Dark Pebble, but you know who I'm talking about. Here, let me see if I can, you know who I'm talking about. I call him Dark Pebble, but if you say this, all of a sudden your fucking video gets flagged. You see how that works? You see how this works, right? And what people are forgetting is that, ESG dollars are running out. And they've actually been run out, and there is no more ESG dollars. And these are the people who it was called environmental. Right here, environmental, social, and governance. So you have these big hedge funds like this who are worth trillions of dollars, right? Right here, look at this. They work with, let me see, their operating income is $7.5 billion. Their net income is $6 billion. Total assets, $138 billion, but they're worth a lot more. They work within the trillions of dollars when it comes to like managing assets, managing. I said managing assets of the global elite and their shit, right? But this is the dude. This is an old ass picture, right? But if you talk about this dude right here, this is 2010, or if you talk about this company right here, then your shit gets like shadow banned, right? And just me saying that, you know the deal. So they were the ones who were funding all the ESG nonsense, but for years, for at least 10 years. And they want to change the conversation. They want to drive the culture. And that's why, they realize that gaming is such easy pickings, bro. I've never seen such like soft-necked, like weak individuals than I see within like the gaming sector when it comes to like consumers. Now we're starting to get it. Now people are finally like realizing that shit, we can literally, if we don't buy these projects, if we don't, if we spend our money wisely, and if I don't agree with this because, level designers are like, are talking down to me as if I'm the fucking problem, right? I'm not going to buy your project. I'm not going to buy your product, bro. It's as simple as that. If adding female protagonists to video games is all it takes to make the worst people you've never met not want to play them, we should add female protagonists to every game. This dude, this beta male Sint Mangina was always like, like glazing. It's because, bro, people like this, they barely get laid. That's the problem. That's the issue, right? And so they try to white knight and try to seem like they're like, oh my God, I'm for good causes. That's my boom mic, by the way. I need a WD-40 that shit. They think they can come in and save a day and be like the white knight shining armor. You see, I'm liberal. I stand for things. Meanwhile, like all their girlfriends and all the girls that they want to date, they're all getting fucking like smashed by fucking Chad and Tyrone. You see what I'm saying? Like alpha males, like these beta males, they're just like infesting all of gaming, bro. And this is why I barely play any fucking new games. I just play games that are like, I just bought, like, what did I buy? I bought Death Stranding because it was on sale for $16. Granted, I don't have a PS5. I don't plan on getting one until GTA 6 comes out. I'm going to fucking have to, because no PC release is announced as of yet. And it's not going to be released for the time being. So, but we know it's coming, right? But I bought Death Stranding, and that comes from Hideo Kojima. I'm the biggest Hideo Kojima fan there is on Earth in the world, right? No bigger. There's no bigger fan than me, right? But I'm seeing all this, Death Stranding 2 stuff, and I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to play Death Stranding 2, I might as well play Death Stranding 1, and let me see what it's all about. I'm like, 10 hours in, and I barely know what the fuck's going on. It's like so weird, right? But that's the thing, is that all these people, like what's his face, Druckmann from The Last of Us, they all want to be like Kojima, dude. And that's the thing. It's like no one can be like Kojima, because Kojima, when he adds political content to the games, it's like it's part of the DNA of like the whole story. He makes he goes deep, and I, for me, as far as Hideo Kojima goes, I think that he's very well read. I think he knows exactly what the fuck's going on in this world and who runs the world. So he hides it with like these metaphors, right? And these images and metaphors. But you have to read between the lines. And it's a very deep concept. I gotta admit, and I like it. I really like Death Stranding. The storyline grabs you right away. The ambience, the music, there it is a heavy walking simulator. It really is, right? But these people here, right, what they do is that they self-insert their own views. Meanwhile, Kojima, he puts in like all kinds of political aspects and dynamics into the storyline, and he makes it work, right? And I'll go back to Kojima, but I want to finish this off. And it's people like this that just like need to just bounce. And, thank God that Microsoft, they're cutting off cancers where they're cutting off tumors where they need to. And I got to tell you, things aren't looking really good for Xbox as a platform. Microsoft, from the beginning, from the early days of the Xbox OG in 2001, they never wanted to get into gaming, and this is very well documented. Both Steve Jobs and Bill Gates were very well known to be anti-gaming. And then you see the timeline. And once it became profitable, especially during the Xbox 360 era, right? When Xbox Live became a thing with a subscription-based $50 a month, right? You're forgetting that Xbox at one point really dominated the online space. They weren't as big as PS2. PS2 still takes the crown. The Wii is coming close as far as console sales, but oh no, was it the Wii or the Switch 1? The Switch 1, that's right. It's coming very, very close to breaking that record of the PlayStation 2, selling 182 or I think 185 million consoles worldwide, or is it more? I forget the exact number. But, the Xbox platform in and of itself is nothing to, laugh about. If it wasn't for Xbox Live and their early trailblazing days of what they were doing with like playing Halo Online, Halo 1, Halo 2 on the Xbox OG, right? They were the ones who really broke ground. And even PC gamers admit, people like me, we admit that if it wasn't for Microsoft developing all this back end infrastructure, we wouldn't be gaming like we are today. But like, I saw this video. It was like a 50-minute long video. It was a video essay of this dude. He talked about how he was going back to the golden age of gaming. And I got to tell you, dude, from like 2001, I would say from like the from right with the introduction of the PS2. So late PS1, 1990s to like early 2000, 2001, 2 with, we got, the PS2 didn't come into when, I forget the exact date, but it was the tail end of the PS1, the beginning of the Xbox One OG. Like, dude, there were so many games, man, that came out, like the Ratchet and Clanks, the Halos. Like, let me see here, PS2 Wikipedia, right? Let me see if that comes up. That came in when? Yeah, March 2000. So imagine what we got here, guys. We were still getting gaming on the PS1. I was still gaming on the PS1, right? And then the Xbox One comes out. The PS2 comes out. And the video was going into like this really deep concept how Sony of Japan saw the PS2 as what was it? It was called a stealth technology. And the reason why they called it stealth technology, because he was going deep into like these numbers and how the majority of America still were consuming, believe it or not, VHS. So we were still on VCRs, bros. And it was right before the explosion of the DVD revolution, right? Don't forget that Sony, together with Philips, they were the ones who invented the compact disc player, the CD player, which came out in, I believe, 84, 5 maybe. And it was still early. I remember one of my dad's friends, he had a CD player, a compact disc player back in the day. And I'm like, yo, what the hell is that? And he showed me. And I'm like, oh my God, how are they doing this? I mean, it was incredible technology. And Sony was behind that. And Sony knew that with the PS2, that if they can also sell the DVD aspect of the platform, that it wasn't just going to go to gamers. It was going to go to families. And I remember vividly, the PS2 was my first DVD player. And me and Lisa, we used to watch movies left and right on this thing. We used to actually go to Blockbuster Video when Blockbuster Video was around, right before Netflix. And we would watch movies on the PS2. And I went ahead and bought the PS2 DVD controller. Remember that? And just to make things easier, because I was using the controller for the longest time to like pause and rewind and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just go ahead and get the controller so we can just make it easier for you. Like when I'm at home, just pop it in and you watch a movie. And that's why they sold so many freaking copies. And so when the kids were not playing the games, the parents were watching movies. And so the PlayStation brand, the platform, I mean, as we know it today, really started. Well, obviously it started with the PS1, but it really took off with the PS2. And the rest of the video, he goes on to describe how like most of the games that we played that we grew up on, like they fit on they just fit on a DVD. That's all it took. And now we see these like super bloated games, bro, that are like what the latest Call of Duty. It's over 100 gigs. It's like, bro, what are we doing? And like the development teams are over 1,000 people spread across like 3 different studios, spread across three different countries. And I'm like, man, where did we get? Like, how did we get here? Like, how did this happen, right? And so it was a really, really good video that I'm going to link in the description so you guys can watch it. And then I hate how video cards, they do this. Like, you can't, their website, you can't really highlight anything. Like I'm trying to look with my left mouse button. I'm trying to highlight the article, but you can't. They're doing something here. I think it's like, let me see. It's I'm really wondering how they're doing this. But NVIDIA Maxwell Pascal and Volta drivers support to end after the 580 series drivers come out. And so this is kind of sad because it's truly, truly end of life by now. So my 980 Ti, which I no longer have connected, I have it in storage, right? It's going to come to a true, true end of life. NVIDIA has officially confirmed that the next major driver branch, the 580, will be the last to support 3 GPU architectures affecting several GeForce and professional products. So you're talking about the GeForce GTX 700, the GTX 900, which is my 980 Ti, right? And the Volta series, which I believe it was the only commercial video card that was based on an industrial design or something like that, right? So if you have any of these cards, so if you have a 700 or even a 900, it's like GG, guys. 580 will be the last one that's going to support those cards. Actually, the one before 580, I forget which. I don't have an NVIDIA card anymore, but I forget which branch it's on right now. It's going to be the last for and the 10 series actually. So imagine the 1080 Ti. It's going to be truly, truly end of life. I mean, that's sad because this card right here was like truly a unicorn. Like that 1080 Ti was about what 12 or 11 gigs of RAM. Man, this was truly a unicorn. And a lot of people say that right before the RTX line of cards, like the 2000, the 3000, 4000, and now the 5000, boy, man, the 5000 is such a bad, like it's such a bad launch. And even today, I just saw a video from Unboxed, Hardware Unboxed, talking about how the 9070 XT AMD, the one that I have, has seen an uptick in performance with the new drivers. And you're talking about anywhere from 15 to 20% in performance. I mean, that's insane from launch. The drivers are bad on both Windows and Linux, but now, like 4 months later, almost 5 months later, I mean, we're starting to see the power of AMD and also the power of Linux, which takes me to right here. Games run faster on SteamOS than Windows 11, Ars Technica finds. And I mean, I'm not going to go through all of this. I'll just link it in the description. But it's true, boys. Like, what people are forgetting, and I think it was the Legion OS. I think it's this one, right? This thing right here runs better on SteamOS than it does on Windows. And that's because of the way that Windows is the architecture of Windows, right? Like SteamOS obviously is Linux and Unix based. And if you think about, if you run all the handhelds, all the SteamOS based handhelds, the Linux based handhelds, right? If you run that in comparison with like Apple architecture, with how they do their new M1 chips, their new M chips, it's really a marvel of a design. But also, more importantly, it is, SteamOS, just like, which is Linux, just like macOS, it's both Unix based. And what people don't understand is that it's so lightweight. It's a different architecture. It's just different ideologies in the way an operating system runs. And like till this day, even on Windows 11, Windows is just a fine. It's the majority. Hold on. Hold on. Stop.